Horikoshi just surprised me with the amount of balls he had in writing this chapter. I mean, it was already implied for a very long time that Magne was a girl and transgender. But it's even more surprising that it was officially confirmed. And then Horikoshi actually had the balls to kill the character off when this entire topic is so controversial. Many people get triggered over the fact of something like that. So I'm just very, very surprised Horikoshi went through with that. I give the man mad props. I give the man mad props for actually doing something like that. But anyways, though, that holds a lot of weight, though. When we found out that Magne wants to go by a female pronoun, for instance, be recognized as a female, that showed that Twice holds a lot of respect for his fellow members of the League of Villains. I mean, we already knew this. This was already established that the League of Villains are different from normal villains. They are like a family. A bunch of misfits, but they're like a family. And you have it to where when Twice says, hey, it's her, not him, you asshole, it's her, he's respecting Magne, which I actually really appreciate that, because it shows that there was mutual respect between all of them, and it shows Twice did care deeply. I mean, for him to even go that far to even say something like that about Magne, it shows that he definitely cared about her. And on top of that, Toga, we know, cares too, so I just like this exchange of information. We just, once again, got more concrete information that the League of Villains, they think of each other like close friends or family. Similar to how, you know, our heroes are, and our main cast of characters, how they act with each other. It's very similar to the League of Villains. But anyways, though, let's talk about Twice and Toga revealing their quirks. Very fascinating stuff. And I'm under the impression that the reason why Twice and Toga revealed the information was because of some form of mind control type quirk, the ability to manipulate someone, and there's a lot of reasons for this, and Horikoshi did try to hide this fact. He did try to hide the fact behind Twice being crazy and having split personalities. He tried to hide the fact that they were obviously being manipulated, but it turns out, if you look very closely, that Toga and Twice, when they gave up information about their quirks, it was definitely not something they wanted to give up. And they were forced to give it up. So you can assume that the person behind Overhaul, that dude, most likely behind him, can manipulate people, make them spill the truth, spill the beans, and I feel like that's what happened. If they say certain words or they speak to a certain way or tone or whatever, most likely this person can manipulate you and make you say something that you don't want to say, for instance, dark truths. And it makes me question how the ability works, because clearly when Overhaul asked Twice and Toga, are you going to try to betray me? Is the League of Villains trying to betray us or get rid of us or whatever? They said no. And so it seems like this quirk that can manipulate them and make them reveal crucial information doesn't always work. It's not completely effective. At the very least, we know it doesn't work thanks to just talking back to someone. It's not exactly like Shinzo and how, you know, if you even speak to him, the man can instantly get in your mind and control you. It's not like that. So there is some differences, but there is definitely a manipulation type quirk. So I'm very curious on how it activates and what words have to be said, because it clearly has to be some form of lines, words or whatever, or maybe some part about what you say if it's fully truth or not. I mean, when they said no, I wonder if the way they said it made it look like they were just unaware of Shigaraki wanting to betray, you know, Overhaul in them. Maybe that's why it didn't work. But like I said, though, it's clear as day that they were manipulated to reveal their quirks. So let's talk about them real quick. Let's talk about the quirks. So Twice's quirk, very interesting for what he revealed. He said that he can only have 2 clones at once, which is very odd. Because from what was previously established is that Twice, he was able to make more than 2 copies of himself. So, judging by what was stated, I'm assuming, or under the impression, that he can copy himself 5-10 times, but when it comes to other people, he can only copy them maybe 2 times. Or maybe there's a limiter. Maybe the reason why he can't copy more than 2 is because of something else that's blocking it. Regardless, though, there's definitely some truths there and some things that were also not really the truth, because obviously we know Twice can definitely duplicate more than 2, especially himself. We have seen it in his flashback. He had more than 2 duplications, clones. So I'm curious on exactly how his quirk completely works, because it didn't get fully explained. However, it does seem that he can only have 2 clones for other people. For instance, if he was to clone Toga and clone Shigaraki, he would only have 2 of them, and his second clone would be much weaker than the first clone he made, and the stamina is much lower than the actual official person. However, the person, the clone, retains all the abilities and the quirk and all of that. They retain everything, the personality, but they are not as, I guess, durable, so to say. And that would explain why, you know, Rappa, he got fucked up by, you know, Sir Night-Eye, because the man was just savage mode, broke this man like he was nothing, just because Rappa doesn't have, you know, stamina like his original self. So it does show the limitations to Twice's quirk, and how it's good and bad at the same time. But once again, I want to emphasize that this definitely does not go to Twice himself. For instance, him copying himself. We know there has to be much more to his quirk than that, because from what we know is that when he was copying himself, he doesn't know if he's the clone, he doesn't know if he is the real body, he has no idea. He just knows that when he woke up, there was just the puddles all around him, everybody was dead, all of his clones, and so he doesn't know if he was the original or not. He has no idea. So the question is that, what does this mean? Like, does this mean that when it comes to him copying himself, does he have, like, infinite durability or something? Like, with his own clones, with himself? Or is it something else? That's what I'm curious about. Anyways, though, talking about Toga's quirk is very dark. Because the reason why is the reveals of it, which imply something very heinous that happened to another individual in Boku no Hero Academia. Toga states that she changes forms through blood, which we knew. But she states the limits of this ability, how long she can last with changing, you know, her actual shape of her body into other people. She explains that if she drinks 1 cup of blood, she can stay in another appearance for a full day. So if she was to drink Izuku's blood, a cup of it, she would be able to transform into him and stay like him for an entire day. She's even able to change her clothes. But the thing is, the limitation of it is she has to be naked. So it explains why she's always naked, is because she has to be naked if she wants to change clothes to be able to, you know, be a doppelganger to someone else. So that makes a lot more sense. However, let's go back into the detail of 1 cup of blood to be in someone else's form for an entire day. Kami. We know Kami was captured by Toga. We know this. We know that there's definitely something off with her. Like, we don't know if she's dead or she's imprisoned, but it looks more like she might be dead now because of the information of this chapter. 1 cup of blood is pretty bad, but it's not, I would say, life-threatening. Like, you wouldn't probably die. But if this is done for a repeated amount of days, you're gonna die. 2 to 3 days, you're done. It's GG. You're fucking dead. Get the fuck out. You're gone. And what's implied when we knew that Toga was Kami is that Toga was doppelganging as Kami for about 2, maybe 3 days. She was being, you know, Kami for a while. It wasn't just like a couple hours. It wasn't just a day. It was definitely longer than a day. So, which implies that Toga was getting a lot of blood from Kami for a good long while, and fitting in with the crowd and all that. Because remember, everybody was saying that she's starting to be a little bit off, weird and all that, and they didn't really understand. So it shows that this was going on for a while. So, looking at it like this, I'm under the impression that Kami is dead. She is gone. She is completely dead, which is very dark, because you gotta imagine what Izuku's gonna feel when he realizes this, because he's gonna probably blame himself. He's like, she was around me this entire time, she was someone that, you know, was being someone else, I should have noticed, you know, he's gonna probably blame himself, and he's gonna feel like he fucked up as a hero. I mean, just think about it, that's a massive fuck up. Someone just died basically in front of him, he might have been able to stop it, but he didn't do anything because he didn't know. So, that's interesting when you think about it. So, Kami's probably dead. Toga, she is a known serial killer. She has killed people. So, her killing Kami makes sense. It's honestly not out of the realm of possibility. And we do know that Boku no Hero Academia does have deaths. We have seen deaths. I mean, Stain has killed people. We know Toga's killed people. Shigaraki has killed people. We know for a fact that Overhaul has killed people. I mean, we have seen other instances, or, you know, seen some flashbacks and stuff of people's deaths and stuff. So we know that death is a big thing of this series. So, judging by the information we have so far, Camie's dead. She's not coming back. And it's going to be really fucking sad when we actually probably see her body, because she's probably locked up somewhere, probably drained of blood and all that. Oh my god, that's horrible. So, anyways, besides that, we also have the fact that at the end of the chapter, it is revealed that the villains, the League of Villains, were working with the heroes to take down Overhaul's group. So, it makes a little bit more sense now when you look at the final page of the last chapter, when, you know, they were teaming up. They were actually teaming up with the heroes to take down a common enemy, which is very funny. The villains were using the heroes to take down other villains for they can further their own goals. So, that's interesting. I do like that little detail of this chapter, showcasing that Toga and Twice, they knew for a fact that they don't have the strength to probably take on some of these heavy fighters, but they're going to use the heroes to do the work for them. And so that was their entire objective the entire time. They were waiting for the heroes to come in and suppress the villains, and they're just going to nope the fuck out, just get out. So with that being said, let's talk about the final segment. The final segment of this chapter is very serious, and honestly, I'm kind of worried. I'm legit worried right now. Our character, our Vault Boy character, he has had so many death flags. So many death flags, in fact, that it's a very likely possibility he's going to die. He was supposed to be the next All Might. Like, he was supposed to be the one that got the quirk. He has showcased that he has similar traits to All Might. He has a sense of duty. He is someone that feels like he needs to save Eri. I mean, he has showcased that he's a very competent individual. He had his own issues when he was growing up, but he has tried to overcome it. I feel like he is going to die against Overhaul. And this is a typical thing you would see in Shonen as well. When you have like a senpai-type character that is training the MC, usually the senpai character sacrifices himself for the MC, for him to grow and improve himself. And I could see Horikoshi going down that path. Now, if this was a typical Shonen, I would say 100% that will happen. But Boku no Hero isn't a typical shonen. Horikoshi has already proved us that many times over, that he definitely loves to do different writing and mix up the formula a little bit. So, it's not 100% that, you know, our Vault Boy is dead, but he could likely die in this fight. The only saving grace is that he is able to kind of phase out of existence for a bit, so Overhaul can't really touch him and completely obliterate his body. We gotta remember that. Remember, Overhaul, he's able to destroy things. Completely just destroy everything if he touches it with his hand, but also recreate it. So, since our character here, Muriel, if he's able to actually make himself where he can't be touched, he can actually perfectly counter Overhaul. However, we do know that he does have some weaknesses. He can't make his entire body, you know, where you can phase through him. He has to keep his legs like that. So if Overhaul figures this out, he's dead. It blow off his legs, and oh, that'd be horrible too. So, just overall, I say that this is going to be an interesting fight. I don't know if he'll live. I don't know, but I'm looking forward to it. I really am looking forward to it. So, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Please be safe. Chibi out.